Villager arrested at home at center of a fierce legal battle. A Village of St. Catherine resident arrested on drug and theft charges. A couple is arrested on theft charges at their home in the Villages. The judge who sent Orrin Miller to jail announces he's stepping down from the bench. A Venezuelan driver without a license was arrested after impeding the flow of traffic at a green light. A villager helps nab a man suspected of stealing his golf cart. Village's couple who bought an out-of-compliance home is hit with a complaint. Owners of a villa is ordered to put back the white picket fence at their home. Neighbors vent frustration as hoarders return to their old habits. A suspected car thief claims he stole the car to drive himself to drug rehab. Officials question Village's pool ID policy as apartments encircle the Villages. The monthly amenity rate raises to $195 for home purchases in the Villages. Villager's daughter sentenced after altercation involving homophobic slurs. How many holes in ones of golf did we get this week? Letters to the editor. This and more coming up. This week's news is brought to you by my YouTube and Patreon members. Let's have some more news. A villager has been jailed after allegedly breaking into a home at the center of a fierce legal battle. Suksira Ritrikusa, 71, was arrested Saturday afternoon after entering the home at 611 Juanita Court in the village of De La Vista North. The deputy went to the home to investigate a trespassing complaint. The deputy found Ritrikuska sitting in her vehicle in the driveway. She said it was her house and that she had been unlawfully evicted, stating that the Sumter County judge who signed the eviction order was a crook and a fraud. She said it was her intention to move back in. She admitted she had contacted a locksmith and that had the locks changed. The house was searched and the previous locks could not be found. The deputy discovered a writ of possession had been executed in 2022 and listed another individual as being the full possession of the home. The home had been purchased by William Bartlam Lowe in 2006. A decade later, Ritrikuska's name was added to the title. It was not clear what nature the relationship was between Ritrikuska, who was born in Thailand, and Lowe, who apparently died in 2017. His death appears to have set in motion a protracted legal battle between Ritrikuska and the heirs to this Lowe estate. Legal documents infer that she resisted efforts to move out of the home and that she attempted to sabotage its sale, even though she was clearly promised 50% of the proceeds of the sale. The two-bedroom, two-bathroom house is apparently under contract according to the sign posted on the property. It had been listed for $259,900. Villages, that sounds like a pretty good deal, unless it needs a ton of work. Lowe originally bought the home for $221,000. Ritrikusa is facing charges of burglary and theft. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. I'm sure we'll hear more about this one. A villager got a break in court after an arrest for driving under the influence when he was found passed out in his golf cart. Scott James Ross, 60, of the village of Poinciana, pleaded no contest January 4, Sumter County Court, to a charge of reckless driving, which had been reduced from a charge of driving under the influence. He has been placed on probation for 6 months. The village's public safety department found the golf cart in the early morning hours of September 16 in the roadway at Golden Ridge Drive and Williamsburg Avenue in the village of Poinciana. The golf cart was running with its lights on and parked in front of a driveway. EMS personnel reported Ross was talking gibberish, kept repeating himself. According to the arrest report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office, a deputy arrived on the scene and Ross indicated he wanted to go home. He said he had been at Lake Sumter Landing. His speech was slurred and he had to hang on to the golf cart to keep his balance. He refused to participate in field sobriety exercises and would not provide a breath sample. A criminal history check revealed that Ross has 3 previous drunk driving convictions in New York. A Village of St. Catherine resident was arrested on drugs and theft charges. Stephen Robert Braun, 65, who lives at 545 Mincy Loop, was at the Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza on Saturday afternoon when he left the store with merchandise for which he had not paid. The New York native got into a silver Jeep Liberty and began to leave when a store employee pointed out the theft suspect to the Wildwood Police Department officer, who happened to be at the store. The officer initiated a traffic stop and was soon joined by the sheriff's deputy. The Walmart employee said Braun had entered the store and filled up his shopping cart. With merchandise, he went through the self-checkout aisle and paid for a few items. However, he had 12 items worth $579, which he did not pay. He left the store through the automotive section. He was confronted in the parking lot. Braun took the items for which he had paid and left the stolen items behind. He fled in the Liberty Jeep. During a search of the vehicle, methamphetamine was found in the vehicle's center console along with several glass smoking pipes. He was arrested on charges of theft, drug possession, and possession of drug equipment. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $3,500 bond. A 20-year-old who lives with his grandma and grandpas in the villages has been sentenced to anger management training after a road rage incident in a roundabout. Caleb Christian Mueller, 20, who lives with his grandparents in the village of Tany, agreed this past week in Sumter County Court to a pretrial intervention contract that would enable him to avoid prosecution on a charge of criminal mischief. He must complete 6 hours of anger management training, 25 hours of community service, and pay $500 in restitution to the victim in the case. Grandma and Grandpa, are you going to pay that for him? Or are you going to make the boy go out and work, get a job? A woman had been traveling at about 3:30 p.m. August 24th northbound on Morris Boulevard heading for County Road 466A when a man driving a truck sped up next to her and cut her off in a roundabout, almost hitting her, according to the arrest report. The woman said the man got out of the truck, ranting and yelling. She was in fear of her safety. I remember this report. We talked about this. So this will be an update of what's happened here. He'd been convicted. A man convicted of pawning a $1,000 stolen ring for $50 has landed back behind bars. Lester Savage, 62, of Fruitland Park, was being held without bond at the Lake County Jail following his arrest this past week on a probation violation. Savage had been arrested in 2019 after he stole a woman's ring valued at $1,000. The Ohio native removed the ring from a small red safe in a dresser drawer in a home he shared with the woman described as his roommate in an arrest report from the Fruitland Park Police Department. Savage admitted he had pawned the ring for $50 at Value Pawn in Leesburg. The woman went to Value Pawn and paid $62.50 to get her ring back. He was later placed under community controls and was ordered to undergo drug treatment at Phoenix House. A license plate led to the arrest of a husband and wife theft charges at their home in the villages. Carl Busacco, 80, and Charlotte Phillips Boone Busacco, 72, was arrested Tuesday morning at their home at 2107 Burroughs Road in the Jasper Villas in the village of Ashland. The couple was tracked down after the alleged theft of $782 in merchandise from Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza in the villages. Charlotte Busacco was accompanied by her husband when she placed the merchandise into a blue bag that she brought into the store, according to the arrest report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office. The items taken included brain health supplements, copper fit ice, compression gloves, artificial tears medicine, 3 Intuition Pure Nourish cocoa milk razors, a heating pad, and numerous beauty products. The store's loss prevention officer had obtained a description of the clothes Charlotte Busacco was wearing, including her leopard print shoes. The Virginia native got into a dark blue Toyota SUV with her husband. License plate on the vehicle registered in his name was traced to their home in Jasper Villas. 2 were taken into custody on charges of theft and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. They have owned their home in the Villages since 2006. Yeah, I'm reading the items that she stole here, and it's not that I'm saying stealing is in any way okay, but I'm just reading here, and I'm reading between the lines that there might be a problem here, a health problem. Just look at what she stole. Brain health supplements. I'm thinking Alzheimer's, dementia, him or her, I don't know. Copper fit ice compression gloves. I'm thinking arthritis in the hands. I'm not a doctor. I'm just guessing here. I knew people that had a lot of arthritis in their hands and they would swell up and they would hurt. So this is what I'm thinking. What do we got here? Memory problems, probably. Arthritis and pain in the hands. Artificial tears medicine. Maybe that's what the brain health is. She's getting headaches because she can't do tears. I don't know what Pure Nourish cocoa milk razors are. And then here we are with our heating pad. Pain. So I'm looking at this. Somebody here has got medical issues and pain. That's what I'm looking at. Am I wrong? I mean, what do you think? The judge who sent former Sumter County Commissioner Orrin Miller to jail has announced he's stepping down from the bench. Judge Anthony Tany sent a letter to Governor Ron DeSantis announcing that he will be resigning effective May 31st. It has been my great privilege and honor to serve the citizens of the state of Florida for nearly 40 years, but recent issues with my health have caused me to rethink how I want to end my legal career. I have been blessed to have worked at a job that I truly love, but I know now is the time for me to step away from public service and begin writing the final chapters of my career as a lawyer. DeSantis will appoint Tany's successor. Isn't it funny that he's stepping down right after the man that he sent to jail was sent back to him so he could declare him innocent and release him? Right after that, he's stepping down. What do you think? A villager is facing a drunk driving charge after her sport utility vehicle nearly hit a golf cart. Patricia Lewis Garbellman, 71, of the village of Delmar, was driving a white GMC SUV at about 6 p.m. Monday when another motorist noticed her erratic driving and called 911 according to the arrest report. Her vehicle was running off the road. She was traveling south on County Road 25, approaching Griffin Avenue. The other motorist continued following Garbellman and relayed reports to a 911 dispatcher. Garbellman almost struck a golf cart before turning onto Rio Grande Avenue. She pulled into her home at 1157 Del Toro Drive, where she was met by a police officer. The Michigan native was unsteady on her feet and used her vehicle for support. The officer detected the overwhelming aroma of an alcoholic beverage coming from Garbellman's breath. The officer asked her if she had been drinking. "I'm fine," she replied. She appeared to be very confused. She performed poorly in field sobriety exercises and provided breath samples that registered .138 and .131 blood alcohol content. While conducting the breath test, Patricia fell out of her chair, falling to the floor. She was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. She was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $1,000 bond. A Venezuelan driver without a license was arrested after impeding the flow of traffic at a green light. Victor Hugo Tarazona Calamares, name will be in the picture, who lists an Atlanta, Georgia address, was at the signal at about 3:30 p.m. Friday at Powell Road and County Road 44A when his vehicle blocked the flow of traffic, according to the arrest report from Wildwood Police Department. During the traffic stop, the police officer encountered a language barrier, but eventually learned he has been in the United States for more than 4 months. He has not obtained a driver's license. Gee, I wonder why. He was arrested on a charge of driving without a license. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $150 bond. Wonder where we got the car. I'm just saying. A villager helped nab a man suspected of stealing his golf cart. Villager dialed 911 when he spotted his black Yamaha golf cart traveling on Madero Drive in the early morning hours Wednesday with only its fog lights on, according to the rescue report. The owner immediately recognized his golf cart due to the fog lights and the style of the golf cart. The villager followed the stolen golf cart on Madero Drive when the golf cart thief cut over onto the golf cart path at the Tierra del Sol Championship course. The deputy found the golf cart after it was abandoned elsewhere on Madero Drive. The serial number had been removed, but the owner was able to positively identify his golf cart. While the deputy was at the scene of the abandoned golf cart, another homeowner called 911 after a suspicious man fitting the description of the golf cart thief was caught on surveillance in her backyard. The same deputy soon spotted the suspected golf cart thief walking on the grass in the area of Morris Boulevard and Rio Grande Avenue. He was identified as 41-year-old Kevin Ronald Miller of Leesburg. He had a golf cart key in his pocket. Miller was arrested on charges of vehicle theft and loitering. Miller had been released from the Sumter County Detention Center on January 8 following his arrest the previous day when he allegedly stole nearly $400 worth of merchandise at a local Walmart. Miller has a criminal history which includes a 2022 drug arrest at the Tiki Hut Game Room in Oxford and a 2021 arrest after a traffic stop at Aldi in Oxford. Thieves are the worst. An unlicensed driver from Honduras was apprehended on U.S. Highway 301. Jorge Arturo Alvarenga Cartagena, name will be on the picture. 44 of Summerfield was driving a silver GMC truck at about 3:30 p.m. Tuesday on U.S. Highway 301 and County Road 466. When he checked the license plate revealed the truck's registered owner did not have a valid driver's license, according to the arrest report. During a traffic stop, Alvarenga Cartagena admitted he does not have a driver's license and offered a copy of his passport from Honduras for identification. He said he's been living in Florida for 8 years. He was arrested on a charge of operating a motor vehicle without a license. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $150 bond. Did you impound his car? Here's another report of a problem that's been reported by me and a Village's Daily News and all these different companies about buying pre-owned homes that are out of compliance. And you are responsible for it once you put your name on that paper. And I've been reporting these things over and over again, trying to get people to wise up a little bit. It doesn't seem to be working. A Village's couple who bought an out-of-compliance home have been hit with a complaint about their landscaping. The home of Michael and Mary Lou Maston at 3357 Fountainhead Avenue in the village of Collier was the subject of a public hearing Thursday afternoon before the Community Development District 10 Board of Supervisors at Seabreeze Recreation Center. On August 9, a complaint was lodged by the Community Standards complaining approval was never granted by the Architectural Review Committee for the landscaping at the home. The investigation revealed an application had never been filed with the ARC. The Mastons, who were not present at the hearing, had indicated to Community Standards the landscaping was already in place when they bought the home in 2017 for $320,000. Listen, that isn't going to work. The couple could apply for retroactive approval of their landscaping, but have yet filed an application. That retroactive, there's a 99% chance that ain't going to work either. CDD 10 Board Chairman John Miller, a former member of the ARC, was puzzled by the Mastons' lack of response. He said it appeared any violations with the landscaping are minor and would be easy to correct. They need to file an application, he said. He noted that 4 months have passed and the Mastons have yet to file the application. If they fail to take action within 45 days, they will begin to get fines of $50 per day until they resolve the situations. In an all-districts meeting at Savannah Center in 2023, supervisors from across the villages agreed. The number one problem in the villages is the sale of out-of-compliance homes to buyers who are clueless about the violations. Well, they're not clueless if they watch this channel. I've warned them over and over again. A dirty driveway and weeds drew a complaint, but the little white cross got a pass at the homes in the villages. That white cross thing issue's been going on for years. The home at 1764 Brandenburg Court in the Sharon Villas in the village of Gilchrist was the subject of a decompliance hearing Thursday before the Community Development District 9 Board of Supervisors at Seabreeze Recreation Center. The owner, Jerry Angle, purchased a home in 2013 for $202,400. A complaint was received by community standards about the driveway in September, according to the testimony presented at the hearing. There was also a problem with the weeds. Photographs introduced as evidence at the public hearing also showed a little white cross on display. A complaint was not lodged about the little white cross, and its presence was not acknowledged by supervisors at the public hearing. Little white crosses are considered lawn ornaments and are not allowed. Look at that picture. See where that little white cross is. I've said this 100 times. I'll say it again. Put it in a flower pot, put it under the eave of the house where the front door is, over there in the corner somewhere, or out there where it's still on display, but as long as it's under the gutter, past the gutter system, they won't say anything. But people are just so pig-headed. This is a very long article, and I'm not going to read it all. It's just way too long. So I would just advise anybody that wants to read about the quilters this month and the donations they made to the different people here that served their time in service, go to villagesnews.com and you can read the whole ad yourself, because I'm just going to read small parts of it and show you the pictures. 6 veterans were gifted Quilts of Valor during a ceremony on Tuesday at the Eisenhower Recreation Center. Quilts of Valor are homemade, personalized reminders meant to thank veterans for their service and sacrifice to the nation. They are presented to veterans in front of their family and friends by the Kiwanis Quilters, a chapter of the Quilting Guild of the Villages. A couple of quilts were provided by the Sewing Studio Patriotic Group. And in this picture here, from back row left, Frank Raspberry, James Petula, Raymond Pilateri, Shanda Taylor Boyd, Robert Beal, and Dean Chickering. Thanks for your service, guys. Much appreciated. The owners of a villa have been ordered to put back the white picket fence at their home in the Villages. The home of Leonard and Dolores Lizotte at 413 Rosecroft Terrace in the Arlington Villas in the village of Belvedere was the subject of a deed compliance hearing Friday before Community Development District 5 Board of Supervisors at Seabreeze Recreation Center. The Lizottes removed their white picket fence and replaced it with block wall construction. They did so without submitting an application or receiving approval from the Architectural Review Committee. During the hearing, supervisors were shown photographs of the block wall. Every other house has a picket fence. This one sticks out like a sore thumb. The Lizottes were ordered to remove the block wall and put back the white picket fence. They were given 30 days to bring their property back into compliance. If they fail to do so, they will face fines. Dolores Lizotte has a history of bizarre behavior. She was arrested last year after an alleged attack on her husband. The Boston native was arrested in 2019 in the theft of flowers from the bench near the postal station in the village of Belvedere. In 2017, Lizotte had been arrested after she was kicked out of Dunkin' Donuts at Southern Trace Plaza. She was allowed to enter into a pretrial intervention program, thus avoiding prosecution. And the beat goes on. Remember the hoarders they had here a while back? Son living with mom. He's a hoarder, I guess. She is too. And they got it taken care of. They're back in the news again. The home at 1889 Wildwood Loop in the village of Sunset Point has been a problem for years. Barbara Packard, who lives there with her adult son, has been warned repeatedly to clean up the property. The long saga at the Packard home began with torn screens on the lanai, which the homeowner refused to repair. It escalated into a hoarding fiasco that upset the entire neighborhood. For the moment, the home is in compliance. However, Packard's son Jeff, who has a criminal history, is apparently playing a cat-and-mouse game with community standards. Neighbors are fed up and frustrated. Raymond Menzel, who also lives on Blythewood Loop, went to the podium at Friday's Community Development District 5 Board of Supervisors meeting to explain what has been happening. We've all tried to help them. We've given them money. It's been going on 5 years. It's so frustrating, Menzel said. He explained that Jeff Packard continually brings home old grills, mowers, and things he can fix up and sell. They are crammed into the garage, which is usually open. The junk spills out into the driveway and into the yard. Community Standards is called, and the junk goes back into the garage. As soon as Community Standards is gone, it all comes back out again. Menzel said Jeff Packard is working late into the night, banging and making a lot of noise. Menzel said the situation must be awful on Barbara Packard, who relies on a walker. The house is completely full of stuff. It's worse than the garage, he said. Wildwood Loop resident John Honorfree agreed the son is the problem. The issue isn't Barbara Packard. The irony is that she could end up in jail behind the bars because of her son's activities. A court case is being pursued by CDD5, and she could be found in contempt. If she is, she could wind up in jail. The board agreed to impose $500 daily fines if the property is found to be out of compliance again. Son, just for your mother's sake, you need to straighten up and fly right. Here's an update on a story we done last week. A villager has entered a plea after engaging in apparent sex act with another man in a local park. David Samuel Tany, 68, of the village of St. Catherine, pleaded not guilty this past week in Sumter County Court to a charge of indecent exposure. He remains free on a $500 bond. That's the update on him. Here's a report about our latest and greatest amenity fee updates. Every January it gets raised. This is common. Every January, our amenity fees go up. Monthly amenity rate has risen to $195 for home purchases in the villages. The village's Executive Vice President for Development, Robert Chandler, sent a letter this past month to notify District Manager Kenneth Blocker of the change, which went into effect as of January 1. The new rate, which has been adjusted based on the cost of living, impacts all new and previously owned homes which were closed on as of January 1, 2024. Community Development District 10 Supervisor Steve Bova has reportedly challenged the village's recreation department's stance that it will not require swimmers in the water to get out of the pool and show their residence ID or guest ID. That's Rohan. He takes orders from higher up. So you're talking to the wrong person. They will not be making people get out of the pools to check their IDs, Bova reported back to his fellow board members this past week. They say it's not customer friendly. Well, you guys must have just woke up yesterday, because that's been the rule, as far as I know, for the past 20 years anyway, at least. I've been complaining about this for a long time. Where you been? Bova represents CDD 10 on the Project-Wide Advisory Committee, which oversees amenities south of County Road 466. He has repeatedly raised the issue on outsiders swimming in the pools and taking advantage of other amenities in the villages, and they do. Not overwhelming, but it happens. I have lost count of the number of people who have complained to me, Bova said. He said the growth of villages has attracted new construction of homes and apartments right outside Florida's friendliest hometown. There has also been an explosion of short-term rentals by booking agencies such as Airbnb. We have apartments going up across from Pinellas, and all the rental houses, he said, apartments are going up all over the place. CDD 10 Supervisor Christine Bradshaw said she wants to go to District Manager Kenny Blocker and ask about the policy or not requiring swimmers to get out of the water and show their IDs. I can't believe you guys didn't know this. I would like to know Mr. Blocker's opinion. Do you think IDs are being adequately checked at the swimming pools in the villages? If so, or if not, leave a comment below. We'll be glad to read them. But I got to tell you, this is why I did some of the videos I've done. I got a lot of controversial comments about them. I just did one little area on my videos showing some of the outside construction of houses and apartments and storage units and all these things. Now, most of these things are good for us. That's the overcrowding here. It ain't the villages being overcrowded. It ain't the villages causing the roads here to be overcrowded in the wintertime. And half the drunks and the craziness you see at the square, in most cases, it's not village people doing that. It's the outside people coming in. And not that I'm saying they shouldn't come in. I want you to hear what I'm saying and quit making stuff up. But that is the problem. It's like Disney World compared to Disneyland. When Walt built Disneyland, they encroached on him tremendously. So bad in Florida to build Walt Disney World, and he bought so much land that Disney parks are inside here and they can't encroach on the parks anymore. And that's why he done it. Same thing's happening here. We don't have a buffer zone. And another problem that I see, this is just my personal opinion. When they made these streets public, there's a problem. The daughter of a couple in the Villages has been placed on probation after an altercation which involved homophobic slurs at a popular restaurant. This is an update of a report we done, I don't even know, a month ago maybe longer. Ashley Brooke James, 35, who lives with her parents in the Lily Villas in the village of Monarch Grove, pleaded no contest last week in Sumter County Court to a charge of battery. She had been placed on probation for 1 year. James was with a large group of individuals who were causing a scene at about 9 p.m. September 26 at Gators Dockside. Ooh, longer than what I thought. The manager reported that there were multiple homophobic sexual slurs made by members of the group. The manager ordered them to leave. As the manager escorted them out, she attempted to lock the door behind them. James became irate and claimed the door was being closed on her father. The manager told police that James pulled at her shirt and repeatedly punched her in the back of the head. James fled in a golf cart, but was later located by the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Witnesses backed up the manager's account of what happened and added that she had to cover her head with her hands to retreat for safety during the alleged attack by James. A suspected car thief claimed he stole a woman's vehicle to drive himself to drug rehabilitation. You moron. That's the best you could come up with? Pardon me, officer. I only stole the car so I could go to rehab, so I'm trying to do the right thing. Oh, Lord. Look at this guy. He looks like an idiot anyway. The Coleman woman had been asleep in her bed on January 11 when she woke up to find her vehicle and the key were missing, according to the rescue report. She suspected the thief was 31-year-old Michael Anthony Music, and when she called him, he admitted he had taken her vehicle. He told her he was driving himself to a drug rehabilitation center. She ordered him to bring the vehicle back immediately, and he failed to do so. He showed up at the woman's home on Thursday with the car. She called law enforcement. He was arrested on a charge of vehicle theft. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $2,500 bond. You picked him. That's all I can say, ma'am. You picked him. Let's do a couple letters to the editor. This one here it's a letter to the editor, but it's really more of an opinion piece. How long is this? I'm going to read it. It's not too bad. I'm going to read this to you because I basically started the very first YouTube channel here full time. The description of my channel is still there. I give the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's been a lot of YouTube channels around here copy that. And this guy is basically saying the same thing. It's an opinion piece. It's titled The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of the Villages. Here's the good. Relatively low amenity fees for all that we have to access. Large number of golf courses, outdoor sports, fields, recreation centers, etc. Good entertainment at the town squares and other venues daily. Well-maintained landscaping in the common areas of the villages. Community Watch 24/7 patrols all our neighborhoods. Wide variety of residents-run clubs. Designated golf cart community. Enjoy Central Florida weather. Close proximity to beaches, Orlando, amusement parks, etc. I agree with most of that. The bad. Virtually no pedestrian sidewalks in any neighborhoods, which forces elderly residents and young children in Middleton to walk in the streets. Multimodal cart paths that are too narrow, some as narrow as 45 inches. Lack of off-road multimodal paths along major roads, Morris Boulevard, Marsh Bend Trail, Magnuson Road, Rio Grande, etc. within the villages. Bridges, Lake Sumter, etc. that have dangerously narrow cart paths. Resident streets that are too narrow for safe on-street parking. Some streets like Chula Vista have street parking in the cart lanes. ineffective at ensuring intersection signs, pavement markings, and site corridors are in compliance with FDOT and MUTCD standards, requires coordination with local governments and VCCDD departments. Along their lines on that comment, let me just say, I'll just add another one in there: common sense. New neighborhoods south of Highway 44 have limited options for convenient dining and entertainment. Some neighborhoods are plagued with noise from the Florida Turnpike. The ugly. The developer, Mark Morrison family, seems to be concerned with making money and building homes than they are at making the villages a safe community for all residents. There seems to be no government entity willing to stand up to the developer to force them to design safety into the communities. Residents don't appreciate the safety problems that are designed into the villages until they have to move in, and it is too late. The marketing plan of the villages is somewhat misleading at times. CDD struggles to find ways to overcome the safety problems that they are left with that could have been avoided if the developer had been more concerned with designing a truly safe community. Like the thousands of others who moved into the villages, I moved here because I felt the good outweighed the bad. However, I would be much happier if the developer had addressed the safety concerns when they designed the villages. It would be good if the developer would periodically have an opportunity for residents to provide feedback to them, and they would seriously consider the feedback. I'm not optimistic that Mark Morrison family will ever willingly decide to change their priorities and focus as much on safety as they do on making money and fitting as many homes into each acre of land as they can. That's sent in by Ken Mann. He says he is a resident of the villages. Well, I agree with probably say 80% of what he said, but I know some things. I don't know how long this guy's lived here. Everything he's talking about is something you should be concerned about. But like he's talking about, some neighborhoods are plagued with the noise of Florida Turnpike. The people that bought them homes along the Florida Turnpike, they knew the Turnpike was there. So I don't think they could complain about the noise. If you didn't want to hear the noise, you shouldn't have bought that home. I mean, that's just very simple to me. Oh, look, there's a highway, a lot of truck, a lot of traffic, a lot of noise, common sense. We seem to have lost that. So I don't think the developer is guilty about building a house next to a highway, and then you want to complain later about the noise. That's your bad. And then you talk about golf cart paths being something like, what do you say, 40 something inches wide, 45 inches wide. I have no idea where there's a golf cart path that's 45 inches wide. How does two golf carts even pass each other? Unless it's a one-way golf cart path. And up around, you say, Ponderosa area, the village of Ponderosa, there's back roads back there, golf cart paths back there that the average person don't know about. And I've been on a couple of them, and they kind of go between houses, and it's shortcuts for them people to get from one point to another. I don't know how wide those are, but they're one-way roads. They're not two-way roads. So 45 inches on them back there, that may be true, but I can't guarantee that, but it may be. Now let's get to the Morris family about the ugly, saying that they don't listen to the villages. For the longest time, the Morris family, at least one day a year, has a thing where you can be invited. I think it's by invitation only, to go to the meeting. It's called like meet the family, or an evening with a developer or something like that. I've been invited to it. I've turned them down because they don't want me to video, and so I'm just not interested. If I can't video what's going on to show people what is going on, then I'm not interested in going. That's where they get their feedback, or they used to. It's a program, really. So I don't know if that's how it still is. But it used to be that's where they got the feedback. They would ask people. They would talk to people. In the Daily Sun, they used to have a thing in there you could fill out and send it in for free, or you could just drop it off at any of the sales offices, a little thing that you would fill out. What is it about your house you like, don't like? What would you like to see changed? All these kinds of things, and they'd turn them in. And then one of their departments would go over them. So they did have a way of doing that. Do they still do that? I don't know. But I always thought it was a good idea because they did keep in touch. So I'm not going to just cut them off the knees here. They did used to do that. I assume they still do somehow, but I don't know that. I can tell you as early as of last year, I was invited to one of the developers' programs, and I politely said no. Now, you talk about the marketing is a little misleading. I'll have to agree with you on that 100%. People come here with this idea, and I don't know where they get the idea. Keep in mind, I've always said, listen to what I say. You're hearing me, but you're not listening. Same thing happens with the realtor in this area, too. I can't tell you how many times I get bombarded with the same question or the same thing over and over again. One is, well, I thought that was a 55 plus community. I thought you had to be at least 55 years old to live there. Nobody's ever said that. I have never said that. And I don't know anybody here has ever said that. So that's just something they're making up in their head. Two is, well, I thought that was a gated community. I've never said that. And I don't think any salesperson's ever said that. And I don't know anybody out here that sells homes, and I know a few people here that sell homes that's ever said that. That's what you hear, but that's not what they said. They said it's a community with gates, not a gated community. And I've explained several times on my videos the difference between the two. And I've said a million times, all of our streets inside the villages is public. That should tell you something right there. If they're public roads, how do you gate a public road? You can't. So I've never said that. But there's other things. People have a tendency to hear what they want to. And on the other side of that coin, people don't want to hear the things they don't want to hear. So then when they get here, then they start complaining because they didn't want to know something that they really should have been listening to so they would know, but they don't want to know. But other than that, I think that's a good read. I'm sorry I talked about it too long. To the editor. The recent letter to the editor reporting crime in the villages criticized the Daily Sun for not reporting crime. However, there is another major problem with the Daily Sun. It is used as a political weapon against those questioning the developer's agenda. The developer owns the Daily Sun, also has a long history attacking Sumter County commissioners and candidates for office whom the developer does not like. Jeff Bowe, Andy Biladello, Gary Search, Orrin Miller, Dan Mislakowski, and Reed Panos are examples. The structure of building impact fees and property taxes also has $1 million impact on the developer. A structure favorable to the developer means a higher tax burden on the residents. Remember that the 2019 25% property tax increase was mainly due to insufficient road impact fees. An impact fee is a one-time fee when a building permit is issued. The Daily Sun also attacks the POA, independent of the developer, and praises the VHA, which has ties to the developer. That's sent in by John Castura from the village of Belvedere. Well, thank you, John. Appreciate it. I've said it a million times. I'm not going to say too much on this. This is a good old boy system. Surely you know what I'm talking about. To the editor, I see the speeding golf carts nearly every day. It's rare to be traveling at 20 miles per hour and not be passed by someone like my cart is standing still. Many display plates from other states. I'm guessing they are not street legal, or there would be Florida plates on their carts. That's sent in by Chuck Clennons from the village of Buttonwood. I'm more concerned about the guy drunk, and operating a motor vehicle. I'm more concerned about a guy that's operating a motor vehicle and playing with his cell phone at the same time. Those are the guys that I'm worried about because those guys are going to run into me. How many holes in ones we get this week? Well, it looks like one. Bob Strickland got his second hole-in-one at hole number 6 at Richmond Pitch and Putt on January 18th. Well, congratulations, Bob, on your hole-in-one. I've got another hole-in-one that I want to talk about. Apparently, I lost this. I couldn't find it before, so I don't know what happened. One of my Patreon members lives here. Says, hi, Skips. I made a hole-in-one today. They took my info for the newspaper, and I had a witness. I wish it had been on a regular course, but it was on a 74-yard hole at Marsh View Pitch and Putt. I'm attaching a picture taken by my playing companions. Have a great week. See you on port setting. Says, I used a pitching wedge off the mat. I didn't know it went into the hole until I didn't see it anywhere on the green and looked in the cup. It was my first one, and I recently took up the game of golf again after a 17-year break in Texas. Well, that's sent in by Vic Madera. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Vic, and sorry it took so long for me to acknowledge your hole-in-one because I know it's a great thing. I hope everybody's doing okay. It's been a cold one down here for the last week or so. Buddy's doing great. Sue's spoiling him rotten. He's turning into a holy terror around here. But he's a puppy. We get used to it. So we'll see you on the other side.
And don't leave your keys in the golf cart.